Hello and welcome to Still Got Legs, a Doctor Who Rewatch podcast brought to you by Another Happy Studios. Mean girls, sad clowns, and angry gorillas. But enough about my holiday, it's time for Doctor Who. Hello everyone, welcome to Still Got Legs, the only Doctor Who rewatch podcast in the world. There are no others that exist, so please don't go looking for any of them, or else I'll be forced to become the Joker. My name is Nathan. As always, I'm joined by my wonderful companion as we go on this fantastic journey through time and space and rewatch all of Doctor Who. It's Catherine. Hello, Catherine.
Hello, I've been promoted.
You have. You're now regular companion. No longer just rogue stray who occasionally shows up. But yeah, we had to fire Lawrence, unfortunately. He made some regretful tweets this week. so as we decided it's best to move forward with no, that's not true. No, unfortunately Lawrence had some issues today, which means he couldn't make the recording. So Catherine very kindly at the last minute was asked to step in and help us. That's what she did. So thank you very much.
I care about this podcast, unlike someone else who is not
yes, here. Thank you. Yes. I'm glad someone does. I do feel sorry for you, though, because you thought you was free of us and this stupid podcast, or just any of the podcasts that we do, because we have forced you to be on quite a lot of them lately.
No, I've done it eagerly. Your poor listeners, they thought they were free of me and my little feminist rants. Well, guess what?
No.
I'm back.
No. If anything, they're screaming for them. They're like, please bring Catherine back. Get rid of these two fucking idiots. But no, thank you for coming back. We do appreciate you helping us out here. So Catherine, first of all, you do a podcast.
I do. I have a Vampire Diaries rewatch podcast called Missing Mystic Falls.
And much like me, you know the burden of being the only host who has been on every single episode as well.
Yes. I feel really, it feels good, right?
It does. It's a power, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a strong power to have over your co-hosts. Yeah. Missing Mystic Falls, that's just started season 3, is it?
Yeah, we're just going into it now. So yeah. Season 3.
Cool.
Fun times.
Cool. Fun times indeed. Lawrence was on one of the recent episodes. I'm sure he will be asked again, maybe. I'm almost certain I will never be asked again.
You
but
will be. Well, I want the story to have changed so drastically. Everything you knew before is worthless.
Oh, that's already the case. Okay? that's already the case. I can tell you all that I learned before has already gone. So
perfect.
So yeah. Anyway, so we're here to watch Doctor Who. This very last minute this was sprung on you, but this was last night that we asked you to do this, so I assume you had time to watch the episode.
I did watch it. Would be insane.
That would be insane. I wouldn't blame you if you didn't, but that would be pretty insane. So it's series 6 episode 11 of Doctor Who, episode 85 of Still Got Legs and Doctor Who. It is The God Complex, written by Toby Whithouse, directed by Nick Haran. What are your thoughts on this episode, Catherine, just generally, overall?
I think I've slept on this one. I don't know, It's not one I've gone back to a lot, but this is a really good episode. I cried. I got really emotional. It's clever. It's interesting. This is really good Doctor Who.
I agree. I think that it's one that I've been aware of. It's one that I've I think to me it's always been of note, mainly because of what happens in the last 5 minutes of the episode. I've always seen it as the episode where they do that, but then not really because of later weeks. So I've always thought of it as that episode. But then watching it this week, I was like, oh fuck, where was I for the last however many times I watched this episode? Because fuck me. Certified banger. This is what a banger. This is fucking incredible. Had a really good time watching it. Very emotional. Really, really tugs at the heartstrings in times. Again, I cried several times throughout the episode. And it's also, I think, just really well shot and directed as well. There's some really interesting moments that happen visually, which I want to talk about.
It's very atmospheric, like the whole way
Very
through.
much so,
It's like we're
yeah.
doing a horror episode of Doctor Who,
Yeah.
and that's what it does.
Yeah, yeah. And the set being this kind of like 80s, kind of like Kubrick-esque, you know, The Shining sort of hotel feel. It's very spooky. It's very unsettling, and it all just works really well for the episode. So I think, first of all, I should mention Lawrence has said he will watch the episode. And he fucking will. I'll force him to watch it. So next week, just to let everyone know, we'll probably spend about 5 to 10 minutes just going over his thoughts, and I'll force him at gunpoint to give his weirdo and everything like that. So he'll still have to do all of that stuff, so don't worry. But yes, so we open up this episode in the spooky little hotel. There's a police officer looking into some of the rooms. She says that she's the last one of her group left, and that you don't necessarily know what's going to be in your room until you see it, and then you realize how could it have been anything else. And she walks into a room which appears to be hers, and she sees a gorilla just coming out of the bathroom, which in itself is quite funny. But then the gorilla kind of like lunges towards her, causing her to retreat back into the hallway. Now, in an episode with a monster, which I think looks great for the most part, the actual creature design of this episode, you can see where most of the budget went and where it didn't go
on the gorilla.
In other places. Yes, because this is just a cheap guy in a gorilla costume. Like, no one's been fooled by this. Come on.
I was cackling at the gorilla holding the loo roll. That was such a funny image.
It's hilarious, but it's like, and the thing is though, it's not. If that was part of like the fear or whatever, which we'll get into, then I could buy it. But the fact that that's supposed to be an actual gorilla, because you know we learn later it's like from a book or something that she read, and it was always scared her as a kid. But yeah, it's just a dude in a cheap little Halloween costume. Not great. So she says the gaps between her worship are getting shorter. And this is what happens to the others, and then she starts to say, praise him.
Is it good? We get some like classic creepy, because we get like the clown, which I feel is a horror for most people. Like everyone's afraid of clowns. And then we get a really creepy sting into it.
Did the clown kind of look like Matt Smith to you?
No.
Okay.
Did it look to you?
Yeah, I've always thought it looks like Matt Smith, so much so that because I remember seeing the clown in the trailer for Series 6 before I saw the episodes, and I remember thinking, oh fuck, the Doctor's dressed up as a clown for some reason, a sad clown. I was like, why is that? But no, it's just not. It's just some other guy.
I do remember this episode being like much hyped, and I don't really know
why.
Yeah, I don't know. I remember maybe it was just like my friends, everyone was like, we're really excited for the God Complex. And at the time, I think I was disappointed, and I was a fucking idiot because this is a good episode. But I remember like having a lot of hype for it and being a bit like,
you was more excited for next week's episode, the return of James Corden.
Oh, yeah. I'm so glad you didn't ask me last minute for that one, because I'd be like,
I'm busy, actually. Sorry. I wouldn't blame you. Yeah, I don't know. I never noticed any kind of, well, not that I can remember any kind of hype around it, but yeah, it's good. All right, so what else happened? So yeah, she says praise him, and then we hear these like loud, ominous footsteps heading towards her, and then it's kind of like all edited in like a pretty hectic way. There's quick shots of her like laughing directly into the camera, and then just like other people chanting praise him, and all this kind of montage of spookiness before it cuts to the titles and stuff. Good opening, I feel like.
I think it's a good opening, and I think it's an opening that gets better kind of knowing the episode, because that easily could just be like a throwaway thing and then they never really deliver on what they've promised. But in this one, I think they really do deliver on the whole concept.
Yeah, 100%. It's not just something that is like, it does set the tone, but it doesn't just set the tone and then it's never sort of forgotten again. It is something that has weight to the rest of the episode as well, which is good. So after the titles, we open on the Doctor, Amy, and Rory in the hotel, just looking about. Apparently, they were going to some place called Raven Scala, where there are people who are 600 feet tall. You have to talk to them in hot air balloons, and the Tourist Information Center is made out of one of their hats. Just complete fucking fun nonsense from Doctor Who.
What do you think is like the biggest disappointment of what the companion's been promised and then where they end up? Because this is pretty high.
This is pretty high. If I was going to meet some like fucking 600 feet people, although that'd be quite scary though, because like surely you have to be careful. Well, I guess they have to be careful more than you, but like you could very easily get squished, I imagine.
Seems like they have a tourist infrastructure, though. They're like prepared.
Well, yeah, that's true. That's true. If they got a tourist information center in the Hat, then I'm sure they thought through the safety precautions. Excuse me. So the Doctor's very excited about this hotel because specifically it's not Earth. It's just been very meticulously designed to look like Earth in excruciating detail. One of the things I like is that on the wall behind them, they notice that all these different people and species dressed up in like kind of like the hotel uniform, I guess. And we see like lots of different monsters of past. We see a Jadoon, we see a Sontaran, I was going to call it a Slovene, not a Slovene. What's the sexy? No, we do see a cat. We do see a cat, but what's the sexy lizard called? Fuck.
A Silurian.
Silurian, yes, a Silurian. Thank you. Fucking hell. Yeah, and all the photos are like captioned with like their name and what we do I guess later find out, but we kind of have an idea that it's their fear, what's in their room. Basically.
Yeah, it says like defeat.
Yes.
I can't remember the other one.
Defeat for the Sontaran.
Yeah.
One of them was Daleks, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember what else, but other vague fears and stuff. But I like that. That's pretty spooky, and it's always fun to revisit some past monsters and faces. I loved seeing the little novice nun.
I loved the cat.
Yeah, I love the cat. That was pretty cool. So they run into another group of people, one of which threatens the Doctor with a chair leg, which he's quite offended by. And then Rory just says, "It's okay, we're nice," which is a lot of fun. And then Amy is just like immediately calls him out on it. Like, did you just say it's okay, we're nice, you fucking idiot? I like that. Good. And
we get a little bit of the TV show Sherlock with their pupils are dilated.
Yes. Yeah. Happens quite a few times in this episode. But the Doctor is quite impressed by this, though. Clearly, he's quite turned on by Sherlock-esque. What do they call that in Sherlock? The deductions. That's it. Yes, the Sherlock deductions. Yeah, because he immediately says to Amy, "You're fired. I've got a new companion," and then does like the "call me" sign to her as well, which is quite good. I like Rita. Rita's a good character. She's kind of like a companion that never was, I guess.
Yeah, 100%. Like, and they even say it in the script at various points. Like, Rita is so instantly likable and so like warm and clever, and she's a really like well thought out character for just this one episode.
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, I mean, it's if the episode played out differently, I'd almost be certain it should be going on along with the Doctor at the end of this, but.
Well, particularly with like where Amy and Rory end up, it feels like it's so easily we could have had like a few episodes of Rita and the Doctor. It feels like such a natural fit.
Yeah. Sadly, that's not meant to be, and we'll get into why. Well, we know why. She dies. Spoiler alert. We also meet David Walliams. David Walliams is here.
I'm never happy to see David Walliams.
Your face just dropped at the mention of his name. So David Walliams is here. He's an alien from the planet Tavali, the most invaded planet in the galaxy, and their species has a pathological need to surrender, and their anthem is called "Glory to Insert Name Here," which is a bit of fun. Yeah, David Walliams, not great, but you know,
I like the concept and like there's good stuff done with the character. But every time he's on screen, I'm like, I fucking hate David Walliams.
Yeah, I think most people do. Like, I don't think you're alone in that at all. But yeah, I like the character. I think it's really interesting. We'll get into why, obviously, a little bit down the line. But Yeah, quite funny initially, and then later you feel guilty for laughing, but still initially, good bit of fun. We also have Howie. Is it Howie or Howard?
Yeah, I think
Howie.
he's Howard, but they call him Howie.
Good little Howie. He's a kind of young geeky guy who tells them that the walls move and that everything changes, like the hotel is alive and never ending, which is spooky, pretty fucking terrifying. The doctor says even the doors aren't real. They're windows made to look like doors, or dwars, if you will. Big day if you're a fan of walls.
I liked Rory's. Have you tried the front door?
See, he's simple. They put him down for that, but like he's asking the real questions. He's like he's gonna be there on day one, going right. Let's just try the door. Let's think about this logically and work our way through it. I like him. I like him
too. I think it's like the doctor wouldn't have tried the front door, so that's why he needs to say it.
Exactly. The doctor would be like, well, obviously the door's not real, and then just never bother to check it, which is exactly something that happens later on down the line, actually, now that I think about it. Very good. Right. Yeah, so Rita says there's rooms with things inside them. She describes them as bad dreams. And the doctor's quite intrigued by that, and then like they start to figure out how they all got there. She just started her shift, and then she assumes she's some kind of doctor or nurse or something because she's dressed in scrubs.
Or she could be a kissogram. Have we learnt nothing?
I'm sorry, yes, of course. My prejudice was showing. I think the outfit would be a little bit different if she was a kissogram. Yeah. but you know, maybe. That is true. Yes, Howie was up blogging on Reddit or some shit, and then he was here. And David Williams, I've just called him David Williams throughout all my notes, by the way. David Williams was at work, which he works in town planning, and he says he's lining the streets with trees so invading forces can march in the shade, which is nice for them.
I did enjoy that. The little, it'd be nice for them. Yeah.
And everyone just going, oh, yeah, that's nice. So stupid. So after that, the doctor is like, right, fuck this. Let's take everyone back to the TARDIS and we can figure out what's going on. Unfortunately, as is often the case, the TARDIS has been Professor X'd. Are you familiar with the concept of being Professor X'd?
I am very familiar with the concept. Okay. I've been listening to X-Mania.
Okay, that's good to hear. That's good. Yeah, so often the case is that the TARDIS will just be taken out of action because, well, that's how you just immediately solve this problem. So
it's one of those things that I don't mind when it happens. Like,
no, I don't either.
They can't run off in the TARDIS. We've got an adventure to do. It's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, it needs to be done in some cases, yeah. And sometimes it's a little egregious. Sometimes it's like, oh no, this door we just walked through is locked and we can't get it open again. No, but, you know, whatever. It's fine. Have you had any thought about what would be in your room?
Yeah, I was thinking this might come up. This is deep chats for the podcast, eh?
Okay.
No. I think maybe just like a deep void. So it's like isolation, darkness. I have a real problem with like thinking of like infinite. So maybe like the concept of infinity. It would be like what I'm.
I have that with space.
Yes, like, space is the big one. When I think about how big space is, I get a bit upset.
So, do you ever watch those videos, which is like the timeline of the universe and shit, and then it's like. It very quickly passes us and then goes like 50 billion years in the future, 60 billion years. And you're just like, oh my God, we're so insignificant. Like
it's overwhelming.
Yeah, it's so overwhelming. But just the sheer size of the universe, frankly, it pisses me off, really. Like when I think about how big and infinite it is, and then also I can't wrap my head around the concept of it being infinite. Like
and it's expanding. It's both infinite and expanding.
How does that make any sense? How can something be infinite and expanding? Okay, surely that's a fucking oxymoron. Yeah. Surely that's an oxymoron. But fucking, I don't know. I'm not smart enough to figure that out. Someone's gonna fucking write it next week now. Yeah, I know it. My room. Thank you for asking. Would be a. Do you ever see like videos of like people like going caving, and they're just like crawling through these like fucking tiniest like cracks in like the rocks and stuff. And like,
Mhm.
those videos literally make my skin crawl. Like the
Yeah.
thought of being in that situation, because there are stories and people have just like got stuck and that's it, you know?
People can be like upside down, and I hate
Yeah.
living, and not know they're upside down and like
Oh,
die, and it's the worst thing. I agree with that like so strongly.
that's I don't know how you would like visualize that in a room, but
Mhm.
like, oh yeah, it's terrifying. I just like I would never do it in a million years. So I guess there's no real danger of it because I'm never gonna be like, yeah, I'll go caving, you know? But like,
No, but it's like I'm low-key really afraid of being buried alive. And obviously I'm not
okay,
gonna be. I don't live that kind of life. But
yeah.
equally, maybe I'm slightly psychic and I'm gonna be buried alive and there's a reason I have this fear. That's where my brain goes to.
Okay. Have you ever seen the movie Buried?
No, is that the James Franco one?
Was it James Franco? No,
I
no,
don't
not
know.
James Franco.
There's someone in box.
I think it was Ryan Reynolds. I
Oh,
think.
maybe.
I
I've
think
not
it was.
seen it.
Okay. I saw it like 10 years ago. I can't remember. I think it was Ryan Reynolds. But yeah, he's just like in a box underground for the whole movie. It's pretty fucked. Anyway,
I think Lawrence should have to answer his room when he.
I'll make him answer. Yeah, don't worry. We'll find out next week. Yeah, it'll probably be something fucking stupid like bread or something.
They took Succession off the internet.
Succession. He lost his fucking DVD of Oppenheimer or some shit. Idiot. Okay, so at that point, the doctor asks if there's any more of them, and then Rita says, "Oh, there's Joe, but he's tied up right now, and he is quite literally tied up, but he's pretty kinky." Spooky puppets. What do you think of these guys?
What? So the puppets are like his fear, right? Why are they tying him up in a room full of them?
Are they his fear?
Well, then why are they there? That's what I couldn't understand. Because he was like, "Oh, these guys don't bother me anymore."
Oh, he did say that, didn't he?
Yeah.
But why are they there and not in an actual room then?
I don't know.
That's a lot of puppets for one hotel room. I see. Oh, that's interesting. I never got the impression that they were what was in his room. I thought they were just part of the restaurant or whatever.
Well, maybe. And they were
And
just filling the tables.
Yeah, and it was just another thing to put fear into everyone, really.
That makes more sense, because I was like, why are they here?
I don't know why they're here, but I like them. I think they're fucking creepy, and the way they're all like giggling and laughing as the gang walk in, and then the way they stop and just slowly turn to face the doctor and everyone. It's creepy. It sends chills down my spine. But yeah, so the doctor talks to Joe. Bit creepy, this scene. What do you think of this scene?
Yeah, I know, 100%. He just doesn't even feel like a person anymore. He's just like, seems this like very intense happiness, but something's like really not right, and he can't even have a conversation with him.
Yeah. The doctor he notices straight away that like he's possessed or whatever, and he's like, "Oh, is Joe about? I'd love to speak to him." But Joe's like, "Oh no, I'm here. It is me. But I've just like seen the light." It's like he's now like some born again devotee who wants to worship this entity, whatever the fuck it is. We don't know much about it yet, which is quite unsettling. I really love the way this scene is shot, because it's like really up close. Like the camera gets really up into like Joe's and the doctor's face while they're having this conversation, and it's quite a lot of like Dutch angles as well, like leaning the camera sideways and stuff, just like really giving you like a sense of paranoia and unease throughout the episode and stuff, which is good. I like that stuff quite a lot.
Yeah, definitely. And then when he does the nursery rhyme, it's like, I kind of think anything from back in the day that used to be entertainment is inherently creepy. Because when he does his like little nursery rhyme, the ventriloquist dolls, like clowns, how people used to entertain themselves is scary from like a modern perspective.
Well, from like before the internet?
Yeah.
Okay. So just any kind of like old-fashioned toys or nursery rhymes or anything is terrifying to you.
They look scary, do you not think?
No, they do. They do look scary. I guess the nursery rhyme is pretty creepy as well.
Yeah.
What is it? He says like, I think it's a little later, but he says like, "Here comes a candle to light you to bed. Here comes a chopper to chop off your head. Yeah. Chop, 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 chop." That's that. I guess the way he says chopper and not like axe or something. That's always, I don't know why, but I find that unsettling. Really.
It's
You
more
know?
visceral.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Just something about it being not the right word. A chopper. I don't know. I don't like it. I don't like it. So yeah, so Joe says that, like, well, the doctor asks what's taking the creature so long to take Joe, because it's been like 2 days or whatever. And Joe says he's not ready yet. He's still raw. They're all still raw, which is why they haven't been taken. So this creature is essentially waiting for them to be cooked. And he also tells them that there's a room here for everyone, even the doctor, which isn't quite true, because there isn't a room there for everyone, which we'll get back to. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. So they just fucking take Joe with him. They just like put him on this like fucking, what do you call those? Like a chair carrier, a chairlift sort of thing. Yeah, and just wheel him out of there, which is a bit of fun.
Well, it makes more sense than leaving him somewhere in a hotel where the corridors change.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And then they're like, this guy, shut this guy up, man. He's doing my head in. So they just gaffer tape his mouth closed as well, which I like. That's a good bit of fun. So we find out a bit more about Howard, young Howie. He says, or he believes they're in Norway, basically. Because the US government has like whole cities in the Norwegian mountains, because Earth is on a collision course with some planet or something, and that's where the elite are going to be sent. So Howie's big into conspiracy, we know.
Well, that's sweet little Howie. One of my bad habits is I love out there conspiracies, but then out there conspiracies lead way to like terrible conspiracy theories. But I do like to read what people believe.
What's your favorite? Do you have a favorite one?
Oh, I love flat earthers. I just think it's so bizarre, and they pose in photos by like holding their hand flat. So a flat earther, we get a group of them, they do that, and I find it really funny.
I love those videos you find of flat earthers accidentally proving that the earth is round. Do you ever see that?
Love it. Where they do an experiment and it proves the earth is round. I love it.
It's so much fun. I love those quite a lot. Yeah. Never got into flat earth myself. Couldn't do it.
There's still time.
There's still time, maybe. We'll see. We'll see how this pans out. Yeah, so Howie's like a big into conspiracies. He's always on Reddit, I guess. He's a little, I would say an incel, but like not really. He doesn't give off that vibe, I guess, does he?
No, he seems like a nice version of the stereotype that they're portraying him as.
You just fell down a wrong hole, I guess. Yeah, bless him. He's all right. So a scary PE teacher comes out of the room to shout at the doctor, asking him where his kit is. And then he says, right, you'll have to do it in your pants, before he walks off back into the room. And the doctor just looks so fucking confused by this. He's just like, okay. Quite well thing. That makes me laugh a lot, that scene.
I like all the fears that they like bring up. Like they're really specific. I wonder if they asked anyone, like, what should we have?
Oh, like the crew and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's quite interesting. Yeah. I can see that being someone's fear. I always fucking hated PE in school. We didn't have any kind of rule in my school that was you had to do it in your underwear if you didn't have your kit, because fuck me. But yeah, I can see why that would be scary. Howie then finds his room. Bless him. It's just full of mean girls. He opens the door and it's a bunch of mean girls all laughing at him, making fun of him. They're like making fun of his stammer as well. They're like, Howie, what's nerd and cook a Klingon or something like that. Bless him. And he just freaks out immediately.
Yeah, and he immediately like gets his stammer back, which is so tragic. And these women also, they're all dressed so 2012, like they all like, I don't know, I feel like I much love to them, but I think I knew girls like that, like they're so visceral instantly.
Yes. These are not to get into a stereotype or to paint with a broad brush, but these are the I believe they call them the Fiat 500 girls, or the kind of girls who would be deeply saddened by the news of Tommy Fury and whoever that other person is. Molly May. Is she the bad one? Is she the one who was like just work or something? Wasn't she?
Yes, she was that one. Yeah.
Yes. Like just don't be poor or whatever weird thing she said.
I went on Love Island and now I'm really rich because I sell teas that make you shit or whatever. I don't know if they do that.
Okay. I mean, they might. I'm sure it's a lucrative market somewhere. So what we'll do is we'll listen to some lovely, wonderful, gorgeous commercials where we can buy all kinds of delicious products, and then we'll be back in just a moment. I fucking hate ads. Okay, and we're back from the ads. So the gang hears grunting and roaring of some kind of approaching monster, so they hide in some rooms. Rita just happens to take Joe into her room, which has her dad in there. What really made me laugh is, and I know this can happen, but it was just the fact that her dad was yelling at her about achieving a B in mathematics. Motherfucker, if I got a B in maths, I would have been ecstatic. Okay?
I don't know. I had breaked. I don't know. I feel like when I was not, it wouldn't be my fear now, but like maybe I could have been like 17 and this was my door. Like not my dad, but like just the concept of doing poorly in school.
Oh no, I get it because this is true. Like sort of like gifted kid, like breakdown worst fear sort of thing. Gifted kid to depressed adult pipeline. It's a thing.
We love it.
We love it. And obviously there are like parents who put like way too much pressure on their kids and that kind of stuff out there. So I get it, but like, I'm sure we must have mentioned this, but me and Lawrence, when we was at uni, our final essay, which was like a huge fucking essay, we both got our grade back for that, and it was a pass. We just scraped a pass, and then we went to Spoons and celebrated with a point for getting that pass because we were like, "Fuck, we did it at least." So, yeah, we're not the smartest of them.
Attainment's different for everyone.
It is. Yeah. Yes. Man, me and Lawrence, we set our goals very low. So
yeah, I thank every day I'm not doing exams anymore. Sorry to anyone doing their exams. It was an awful time.
So that's Rita's room. It's her dad being like, or it's more, I guess, disappointment. Her family being disappointed with her is her fear. Dr. Amy and Rory and Howie and David Walliams, fucking hell, this room's full. They go into another room with the Weeping Angels. Okay, this is a bit of fun. Weeping Angels are here. Don't blink. But it's fine because they're not real. Now, Catherine.
Oh, yeah, okay. This is the thing, right?
Yes.
I've watched Doctor Who. An image of an angel becomes an angel.
Thank you. Yeah, this is exactly what I wanted to bring up. Okay. Now, look, I can buy that whatever this force is, it's somehow more powerful than the angels, that it can stop that. Oh, can I buy that? I don't know. But I can. If someone told me that was the case, then sure, I can accept that. But it's just never mentioned or anything. It's just, and I get it, because I don't want them to stop the episode dead and say, oh, it's actually because of blah 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 that this is happening, you know? But like, do you know what I mean? Like, don't tell us one rule and then just break that rule completely.
Yeah. In the same era of the show in particular.
Yes,
like that's
exactly.
How Amy, because Amy thought this was her door, and that's how Amy knew the angels in particular. I thought it was interesting that Amy thought the door, like of everything she's seen, Amy thought the door with the weeping angels could be hers.
Yeah, that is quite interesting. I didn't get the sense. It was pretty early on in her run, but I didn't get the sense they were that kind of traumatizing to her. Really, I mean. What her fear actually ends up being makes complete perfect sense.
Yeah.
But in terms of the angels, I guess you're like, oh yeah, that was pretty scary, I guess. I don't know. But they're not hers, they're David Walliams. David Walliams is terrified of the angels, which suggests that they've invaded his planet before, I guess.
So I can't remember if they say this. I think he must know about the angels and they can't appease them, I guess. Like, had they invaded, their civilization wouldn't have survived, because the angels aren't about ruling over everyone. They're about, killing them, destroying them. So there'd be nothing left.
Ooh, that's interesting. That is interesting. Okay, I must have missed that entirely, but quite interesting. And that makes sense, I guess. So they're kind of like just some folklore tale to him, then, really. A spooky story.
That's what I took it as.
Yeah, I quite like that. Okay, so the Doctor assumes it's Amy's room, but it's actually David Williams. The Doctor takes a second to look through the peephole at the creature, and this is where we get our first look at it. Really, it's just a big bull's nose. Really, we don't see much more than that at this point. But it goes after Joe, who obviously willingly gives himself over to him. Somehow the rope untied itself around Joe.
It didn't look great. Did you think it looked great with the rope untangling?
I was like, oh, there's some CGI. Yeah. Didn't look particularly great, but sure. So he's saying praise him. He's giving himself over to that. The Doctor chases after the Minotaur, but it's done in this kind of like a Benny Hill effect, just like a weird, just like they sped up the camera just running through the hotel and stuff. And I get it. It's just to give us a sense of the hotel being like a huge fucking maze, I guess. But
I think the episode tries a lot in lots of different ways to create the atmosphere. I think some is a lot more effective than others, like the close 100%. Camera angles, the grinning, the music works really well in the stuff they do with the hallways. It feels a bit hokey and it doesn't quite nail it the way the rest of the episode does.
Especially because it's clearly just one hallway that they have. And then they're just turning the camera around and then just going back down the other way, but cutting it together in such a way. But yeah, bit of fun though, bit of fun. Amy speaks to David Williams about the angels, and then comforts him, saying that basically the Doctor will save them. He saved her when she was a kid, just showing how much faith she has in him. I'm sure that won't come back to bite her in any way.
And I think this is such an interesting episode for Amy, especially considering the last time I came on A Good Man Goes to War. This is I think they do some really interesting stuff with Amy. But when she says the line, "The Doctor's never let me down," and he has over and over again, but the way she still feels that is so kind of tragic.
She can't see it that way. Mm-hmm. No, I think Amy is blinded, and this episode does really show us that. This episode shows us that Amy is blinded to those faults of his, to a fault for her, really. She will make excuses and she will say it's not his fault that it turned out this way and that kind of stuff, and that's not necessarily a good thing. Look, he's not a bad person at all, but there have been questionable choices that have been made and stuff, and after so long, you can see why. I think Rory, although it's not touched upon a huge amount, but Rory has some really interesting lines here and there throughout this episode. Yeah. I
also think it looks into the concept of blind faith, believing in something completely with nothing shaking it, and not thinking critically about it, and particularly with Amy and the Doctor, can be damning to a person.
Yeah, that is interesting, and I feel a good example of that these days is how blind faith in politicians, I guess, or not even politicians, just fucking, I guess Trump is technically a politician, but that kind of just cult faith in these people, and you do see those funny videos of people asking them and so what if he did this or whatever, or something, would you still believe him? I'm yeah, and just no matter what, they will just continue to believe and stuff, which is scary, really.
But, if we don't think critically about our institutions of power, who will?
Yeah. Oh, there's a thought. Anyway, yes, so speaking of which, Rory is kind of just watching the Doctor and Rita kind of get along, and then comes up to Amy and just says, every time the Doctor gets pally with someone, I get the urge to notify their next of kin. Ooh. And it's kind of played as a joke, but you can tell there's thoughts behind those words. There's intention there,
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah. And last week was quite a big week for Rory and the Doctor. And Lawrence was saying he was looking forward to seeing just how that's affected his relationship going forward, and I think we are seeing the effects of that here.
Yeah, I think it's changed it. He kind of understands who the Doctor is. Kind of, he'd always been introduced to the Doctor from Amy's point of view, and he'd developed his own relationship and had his own friendship with the Doctor, but in The Girl Who Waited, that was really stripped away, and he just like kind of saw the decisions and the lengths he would go to.
It's pretty fucked up, but it is really interesting. Then it's almost like played as a joke, because then he's like, "Oh, I was expecting you to hit me after that," you know. But yeah, it's quite brutal from him, and I can understand exactly where he's coming from, especially with what he has been through. Good line I enjoy is Rita asking the Doctor if he is actually a medical doctor. He hopes that he doesn't just have a degree in cheese making, to which the Doctor says no. Well, yeah, actually both, which is good fun. But yeah, he goes on to explain that Joe's vital organs just simply stopped working, which is pretty spooky. He just like gave up on life. I guess he Padma'd out of
broken heart.
Broken heart, yeah.
He didn't have 2 children though.
No, that's true. He didn't die and give birth to twins or whatever. Yeah. Good for him. Rita believes that this is Jahannam, which is the Islamic version of hell. And the Doctor goes, "Oh, you're a Muslim." And she kind of just heartbreakingly just says, "Don't be frightened." And I'm like, "Oh, you poor woman."
I know.
I want to give her a hug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would be great if that response could feel a bit like outdated.
I was just going to say, yeah.
But unfortunately...
What's it, 12, 13 years on? It's still just as relevant as ever, unfortunately. Pretty heartbreaking.
I do love that in an episode about faith and religion, they made Rita a Muslim. I think having a religious character there opens the door to these kind of discussions, and I like that. You know, in the UK we have like an Islamic population, but we're a multicultural society, and we have a sizable Islamic population. But the default is always Christianity as like our 100%. Faith and our like counterstone. So I really like that in primetime BBC, when we're talking about faith, we're centering it from like a slightly different point of view, and he's just such a good character.
It's very cool. Yeah, it's really interesting. That's something I've always liked for Doctor Who, because they do take those choices. They do push that envelope a little bit, and you know, some people will be uncomfortable with that, but Doctor Who's like, well, fuck you then. You know, here it is. This is a story. This is what it is. You know, yeah. I like it. And yeah, and it is just heartbreaking, the fact that this is still just as relevant 13 years later from when it was in 2011. Yeah. Not great. But Rita isn't scared. She says she's accepted to what this place is. And, you know, in times it will make her run and scream, but her knowledge and her faith keep her sane, which is quite admirable.
She's just so at peace.
Yeah.
Like, she really believes this is hell, and she's so at peace in that, in a way, and so calm and rational. And even when she learns that, like, David Walliams is an alien, she's like, I'll deal with that later. We've got a lot going on right now.
Yeah. She'd probably be more scared if real life David Walliams was there.
We all would be.
We all would, yeah. Fuck, it's David Walliams. Run! Amy at this point pulls out some notes which she found earlier, kind of brushed over, or I didn't mention it at all. The notes the police officer was writing at the start of the episode. The Doctor's like reading her notes, reading what she was writing. Her name was Lucy, I think. Reading about the gorilla and how, like, you know, once you find your room, you realize how could it be anything else, and then praise him, which she wrote. But then Howie also says praise him. So Howie started to be taken. I know. Poor Howie.
Poor Howie. He doesn't deserve this. Why couldn't it be David Walliams?
Yes. The only survivor as well
I know.
was David Walliams. And speaking of which, David Walliams quickly suggests that they give Howie over to the creature. Like, once it's clear that Howie is, you know, starting to openly like praise and worship this creature, this entity, whatever it is, he's like, oh, you know, we can give it over to him and he'll let the rest of us go. And then there's just this look of disgust on the Doctor's face, and he has this brutal line, which is, your civilization is one of the oldest in the galaxy. Now I see why. Your cowardice isn't quaint, it's sly, aggressive. It's how that dune of gutlessness has survived while so many others have perished. Oh, what a reading.
Amazing. So
I know,
good.
right? Fuck. And yeah, this is where, like, you do start to feel a little guilty about laughing at this silly little alien and this silly little, we're making the invading forces feel nice and stuff and all this kind of stuff. Because what is this apart from, like, if not, people looking the other way while the Nazis invaded their neighbors' homes,
Well, it's like, don't hurt me, hurt someone else. I don't care if you pick someone else, as long as it's not me, I'm fine.
Yes, yeah. And it's horrible, really. It is. It's exactly what the Doctor says. It's cowardice, it's gutlessness, it's sly. It's really not nice at all.
And I like that the Doctor sees bravery in so many forms, but because I think he really admires the human race he always talks about how brave they are. When he sees the opposite of that and he sees cowardice and it's unjustified, he hates it. And I really like that part of him.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So the Doctor speaks to Howie, who's now, like, possessed by the creature. They want to get some more information. And Howie basically says that they all have too many distractions in their head, which is why they haven't been taken yet, like he has. He knows he's going to be killed, and he welcomes it. He's even like, are you kidding? He's going to kill us. How fucking cool is that, mate? Pretty spooky stuff.
And it's the most confident we see Howie. Like, he was someone that was really awkward and really shy, but the second... he's possessed in this way, he really feels like a different person.
That stammer's gone again,
Yeah.
It's just back to just regular speaking Howie. The Doctor surmises here that the creature feeds on fear. Okay, so this is his theory up to this point. Everything has been put there to frighten them, so he encourages them all to do what they need to in order to not give in to the fear. Say a prayer, think of a basket of kittens, put their faith into whatever helps them stay strong and not think about the fear. I'm sure that will all work out fine for everyone involved.
I like that even before they, reveal what's actually going on, they keep you interested with the premise they pose. Like, the idea of a creature that feeds on fear, it in itself is an interesting concept. And then the fact they go and deconstruct that, it only adds to it.
Yeah, it is. And you're not thinking it's going to be anything else, because why would you? This makes perfect sense. Given everything we've seen so far, given the rooms full of, everyone's individual fear and everything like that, you're like, oh, of course that's what it is. That makes fucking perfect sense. So, yes, they put a plan together where they basically have Howie loudly praising the creature, asking him to come down and take him, and that's drawing the creature to this salon, I guess it is, in the hotel, which I found pretty funny. But yeah, there's like 80s style salon. But Howie's actually speaking into the Doctor's makeshift podcast setup, I guess. He's got this sonic screwdriver as a microphone, which is a good bit of fun. Just so, they can basically draw him into one place. And the episode really plays this as like a big pullback and reveal, like a big, oh, you thought he was Howie, but it's actually a microphone. Oh, we got you good.
But we also have the reveal of, like, Rory and the mop coming round the corner. It's so good.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that. Yeah, everyone else is just like waiting with various like handheld items just to trap this 6 foot Minotaur. By the way, this like probably 7 foot tall beefy Minotaur, and then just put a mop on the door. I reckon that'll hold it in. I guess
in the room with glass panes.
Yes, that'll be fine. I reckon. No need to do any more than that. This is probably where we get our best look at the creature so far. Looks great, I think. I think it's a really good practical design. It's like a little bit like janky, I guess, but I think that adds to the charm of it, I think,
I think it makes it look old. I kind of couldn't remember what it looked like. And for a while, they really weren't showing us, like we were seeing it like through mirrors and through like water
Yes.
features. And I was like, does this look shit? Is that why they're trying to hide it? But no, it looked good.
No, it doesn't. It does. They're just like intentionally like driving up the spooky factor,
Yeah.
I guess, because this whole scene, it's very, it's intentionally in a dark room. We're seeing it through like you say, through mirrors and through the whatever that water thing is. Yeah, there's water feature in the middle of the room.
In the salon.
I don't know what that is. Yeah. It reminds me of like, I don't know if you've ever seen Friends, but there's like an episode of Friends where like Joey has just like a water feature.
Oh yeah.
Like, yeah, and it looks like he's in front of a window in the rain when he's sad or whatever. It just reminded me of that.
This whole scene I found it quite frantic and overwhelming. I was like, please calm down, which is the point. But I was like, I'm being overwhelmed. Please stop.
It's a good thing to get overwhelmed by. I like it. It really builds in quite a good way because the Doctor gets a chance to speak to the creature for the first time. And the creature mentions a warden. So the Doctor figures out that this hotel is actually a prison of some sorts. And the creature, kind of heartbreakingly, has lived so long that it's forgotten its own name, really. It's like his own name is lost to time, I think it says, or something to that effect.
Well, it says,
and yeah.
He says the Doctor says it's just operating on instinct.
Yes.
Which is such a sad concept. I will say they had a pretty lengthy conversation if it was only instinct that this creature was feeling.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. The creature, or the Doctor surmises, I'm not sure which one, but basically the creature wants this to stop, but he can't. Yeah, he's forced to continue this just as everyone else is, like you say, just basically on instinct. How he gets free. How he gets free. So the Minotaur is able to get out of the room and claim him. Pretty easily gets out of the room, which is to be expected considering he was held in there with a fucking mop, but sure. Yes, and Howie dies, sadly. Howie is killed. And I like the way that David Walliams just kind of like cowardly walks up and tries to justify himself. It's like saying, he overpowered him, because we saw him talking with Howie, and like Howie was trying to convince him to let him out, which is obviously what happened. But yeah, again, just that look of disgust on the Doctor's face during that. It doesn't even say anything to him, just like looks at him in disgust and then just walks away.
Mm-hmm. Conveys so much. So great. I really like that. But both Howie and, when we get onto it later, but they really treated Howie's death with a lot of like respect and reverence. Like he wasn't just like a punchline character.
No, not at all.
And it was really sad.
It was actually, yeah. And yeah, I really enjoy the way that David Walliams. It's just also I didn't really mention this, but there's something about the bodies just being left in the corner, They're just like left in the hallway, just like slumped up against the wall, There's no grace or dignity left to them. It's just the body has been used and now it's disposed of, really.
Yeah, and he still has the smile on his face and that kind of maniacal expression. So it really feels like, even when he's just a body, he's still like taken, like he's not himself because he's got the expression of possession on his face. Yeah,
and we see there is like a little a sort of makeshift resting place that they made up for them all, because you see Joe down there and then Howie is laid down next to him, and as that kind of grows, that just gets sadder and sadder, really. But yeah, no, I like the way the Doctor just doesn't even say anything to David Walliams. Is it like Gibbons or something like that he's called?
I wrote David Walliams every time.
Okay. Yeah. Same. All right, we'll just carry on with that then. Yeah, but he just like doesn't even bother with him. He's just like doesn't see him as even worth his time anymore. So he just like looks at me in disgust and then just walks away, which I enjoy quite a lot. Amy finds her room. She opens the door. Clearly sees what's inside, but then Rita stops her from going any further, saying, "You shouldn't have done that. What did you see?" And she says nothing, but that's clearly bullshit. She saw something. Yes, I think then it's the conversation between Doctor and Rory, and the Doctor asks him if he's found his room yet, which he hasn't. And then he talks about how he was like just getting over the stammer. He spent years in therapy, which is an amazing achievement. And then just the line which I really enjoy from Rory V. I'd forgotten not all victories are about saving the universe, which is... I feel like that's very Rory. That's been Rory from the beginning, really, you know?
100%. And it's like you guys have said so often, like Rory is, you know, the heart and soul of the team, and the fact that he knew this thing about Howie that the Doctor had no idea about, because he just connects with people in a way that the Doctor can't really, because he's too high and he's thinking too much. And the fact that Rory got to the crux of a part of Howie, and quite a vulnerable part of him as well, in such a short amount of time.
Yeah, I massively agree. Yeah, and it is even more heartbreaking again when you knowing that when you watch this episode back and like seeing like because he doesn't have a stammer, but then the moment that door opens and the moment he sees the girls making fun of him, it's just straight back, all that work undone, which is really brutal and really heartbreaking. But yeah, fuck, I love Rory. He's great.
Rory also refers to the time in the TARDIS with the Doctor in the past tense.
Yes. Interesting. Bit of sizzle, I guess. But it was kind of unintentional on his part, though, wasn't it? It was kind of like in his head, maybe he has these thoughts, maybe not. Maybe it's something he's aware of that he wants, but I don't know. Because that's going to be a difficult conversation with Amy, first of all.
I think Amy, particularly about the Doctor, Amy represses some things, and Rory, I think he knows his contract on the show is coming to an end. No, he knows, like, you know, something is changed fundamentally than how it was. Yeah.
The vibes are very much different to what they were initially. Yeah. But you got to be thinking, like, there's no way he can just say to Amy, hey, do you reckon we should stop this? Because, like, at this point where Amy is in her headspace, I don't think she's going to be like, yeah, no worries, you know? She's like, fuck off. No, you know? And I just think maybe that's not a conversation Rory wants to have at that point, you know?
In some ways, Amy's a bit of an adrenaline junkie. Like, she wants to keep going forever. And I always find the difference between the companions who sees it as their life and who sees it as a part of their life and can build around it is always so different from companion to companion.
Interesting. So I was thinking about Clara there because well, not to jump ahead, but
at times it's a part of Clara. Clara's a weird one because it's like a part of her life, and also she wants to do it forever. But it's maybe not her whole world in some way.
But
then sometimes it is.
Yes, yeah. But I feel like it becomes her whole world, which is to a fault, though. But that's a whole thing we'll get into. So the Doctor has a conversation then with Rita, talking about basically about Amy and Rory and how as a child when Amy was a child, he offered her. He describes it as like offer a child a suitcase full of sweets and they'll take it, which is why you probably shouldn't, he says, and which is why grown-ups were invented or something like that. Just basically saying, yeah, I probably shouldn't have done that, you know? Probably shouldn't have shown this very young, impressionable child all of time and space and then promised her everything, you know?
That's the thing about the Doctor. He knows it's dangerous. He knows people have literally died traveling the universe with him, yet he won't stop himself. Even immediately after that exchange, he's to like, Rita, like, come with me.
That's what's really interesting about this scene. Yeah, it's the almost blindness to it. The fact that he's like, I really shouldn't be doing this. I really shouldn't just take people and take over their lives and just steal them away and show them all these magical, wonderful things, because it always leads to this. Anyway, do you want to come with me and see all of time and space? You know, it almost seems tone deaf, really, you know? But I don't know, just makes it interesting, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I do like whenever they say the episode title in the show. So when Rita's like, "You have a god complex," I'm like, "That's a thing."
Yes. That's the title. They did it. Yeah, I do like that. Yeah. Rita starts to praise him. Oh, so sad.
It's so sad.
Yeah. She just like walks up the stairs, has a bit of time to herself, then just like takes a look around, and then just lets out a praise him. But the doctor realizes he can use the camera feeds to kind of like take a look for the creature. And hey, here's some heartbreak for you. Whilst he, postpone that. Put a pin in that.
He sees room number 11 there.
Of course, it was room number 11. You know, it's cheeky. I like it though. So he finds room number 11. He opens the door and he says, "Of course, who else?"
See,
me and Catherine are sharing looks.
Yeah, I think I know what's in the room, right? And it's who. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay,
yeah. Which I don't know if that makes any sense whatsoever.
If Lawrence was here, he would give you many theories because I assume he doesn't remember.
I don't think Lawrence has a clue what's in here. Yeah, I'm interested to find out. But also, it's like we can very clearly hear the TARDIS cloister bell though as well. Which I'm not going to say anything, but
yeah.
Anyway, moving on. So the doctor finds the kind of like security room with all the cameras, and he sees Rita walking through the hallways. So he calls one of the hotel rooms. Don't know how he does that, but whatever. He calls one of the hotel rooms. Rita grabs the phone, and then they just have this conversation, which is so fucking heartbreaking. I feel like this scene is like, in an episode full of heartbreaking scenes, this is one of the most heartbreaking, I feel like. Because when he asks her if she started to praise it, she doesn't say anything, but she just like looks into the camera and nods, and you can see how much she's fighting back tears at that point, and it's so sad to see.
Yeah, I was crying watching this. Like, the actress does such a good job, and she's so instantly likable and such instantly a well-rounded character. It's just heartbreaking.
Yeah,
what happens?
It really is, and she goes on to like just basically, she wants him to not watch. She doesn't want him to watch. And I think she describes it as her not being robbed of her faith or something to that effect. She says, "Just let me be robbed of my faith in private," I think she says, which is beautiful and heartbreaking at the same time. And the way she's still, in the face of all this, still wants to be brave and hold on to that faith. It is beautiful and heartbreaking. And the way the doctor is just like begging, screaming, saying, "Please don't do this." Is she just like, "I've got to do it. There's no other way," you know?
Yeah, and he does turn the screen off. Like, he does give her that dignity that she wanted at the end. When he kind of accepts that there is nothing he can do. Yeah.
Possibly a little too late, I'd say.
Yeah.
You do kind of see her robbed of her faith. You do kind of see the smile on her face as like he approaches and stuff. But whatever, you know. I guess that's more for us, really. That's more for us. Rita is added to the dead downstairs with Joe and Howie, and the doctor is just smashing the fuck up out of a restaurant, just clearly not taking it well, while Rory and Amy just kind of sit there awkwardly and just let him smash things up, really.
Because obviously Matt Smith's doctor does show a lot of rage. Has he showed this kind of like physical kind of anger before?
He has at times. There's been moments of it here and there. Not to this extent, I don't think. Not to where he's fully smashing down a restaurant. There was the scene in, forgive me, there was a scene in the Come episode, the Come two-parter.
These don't be silly.
where he got angry and physically violent, but again, I think that was more the doctor trying to win the Best Actor award, though, again, because he was the doctor as the Come doctor at that point, you know, and he was trying to be or I'm crazy because I'm made of cum or whatever, you know? I'm sorry, I won't say that again. Not apologizing to you, to the audience.
I was going to
say. Okay, so the doctor works out after a moment, after he takes a moment to calm himself down. He works out that it's not fear, it's actually faith. Howie believed in conspiracies. Joe was a gambler. He put his faith in luck. Rita was a Muslim. They all turned to their faith, and that's what caused them to praise him. Every time someone was confronted with their most primal fear, they fell back on their most fundamental faith. And the doctor was encouraging that. The doctor was the one telling them to do that, to turn to your faith, to make more of a meal out of them, really. So he just offered them up, really.
Yeah, and this is what we were saying earlier, like, the monster feeding on fear was a great concept. The monster feeding on faith, and I really like that it's faith in multiple forms.
Yes, yeah.
It's just believing in something, and if you believe in something, you will then have a room.
So, and that's when they kind of realized that it was Amy that brought them here, not Amy herself, but they were brought here because of Amy's faith in the doctor. Faith is food to this creature, essentially. It feeds off faith. And because Amy has arguably too much faith in the doctor, that's why they were brought here.
Is here where they talk about Rory not having a room? Or is that later?
I think that was a little earlier. That was when he was talking about Howie's speech, Howie's stammer. I think that was because...
But then just this... I find it interesting that Rory doesn't have one at all. Kind of, surely he has faith in something, or I don't know, it just feels, is it like a certain level, or like I don't get why Rory wouldn't have like faith in like Amy or something, if that makes sense. Or is it meant to be like a really strong belief, like a worship?
I would say we can talk about this a little more later.
Interesting. Okay.
Not to play my hand, but there we go. Okay, so they yes. So after that, it kind of cuts a little bit forward. The creature is chasing them because Amy started to praise him. That's why. Amy gives off a praise him, and so the creature is coming for her. Amy's form of worship looks a little bit horny. Yeah, good for her, I guess. She sees the creature and she's like, "Oh, fuck me, you're beautiful," you know? And I'm like, all right, okay. But that's Amy, I guess.
Yeah.
They take refuge in room number 7, which was Amy's room from earlier. And this is where we see what her fear was. And it was, of course, young Amelia looking up at the night sky, waiting for the doctor. Of course it was. That makes perfect sense. Like, what else would it be, you know?
Yeah, I love it because it really is what they said. You wonder what your room's going to be, and then you see it and you realize what else was it going to be. So it works so well for Amy.
I always love seeing Caitlin Blackwood back as well. Yeah. She didn't get any lines this episode, which was weirdly noticeable. But yeah, it's still good to see. Yeah, but yeah, I think this is the last time we see her, which is quite sad. But we don't know that yet, so there we go. So the doctor tells Amy there's nothing he can do to stop this. Basically, he stole her childhood, and he knew this would happen. He always knew it would happen. He basically needs her to forget his faith in him. Another heartbreaking, emotional scene. This one is, I feel like, especially because there's moments while he's talking to Amy, while he's trying to get her to lose her faith in him, that it's not Karen, it's Caitlin Blackwood that he's talking to. It's young Amelia. And then as it kind of goes on and as it comes to an end, and when he calls her Amy Williams instead of Amelia Pond, it's just like, oh God. And then she turns from Caitlin into Karen, and it's just like beautifully visually done, so well laid out, but so well performed from, I'm gonna say both of them, from 3 of them, I guess, as well.
The eye acting that Karen Gillan does as you see her face break in the doctor is amazing.
Yeah. They're like, excuse me? sort of thing. You can see it shattering piece by piece, and yeah, it's so good. Fuck, I love Karen Gillan. She's so good.
Fucking great.
She really is. Just this whole moment, I think I got the quote here. I took you away because I was vain and because I wanted to be adored. The girl who waited for me, I'm not a hero. I really am just a madman in a box, and it's time we saw each other as we really are. Amy Williams, it's time to stop waiting. Heartbreaking. So heartbreaking it kills the fucking Minotaur.
Yeah.
You can't handle it.
Can't cope.
Her faith in the Doctor is broken, so the Minotaur's food supply has been cut off, causing him to fall back and slowly die. This is where the hotel sort of like fades away into this this Tron-like computer void sort of thing, this weird void space. I don't know what it is, but pretty odd.
Did they? I might have forgotten because I'm sure they did say. Why was it like a hotel from the 80s?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Yeah, I don't know if it was mentioned. So it's a prison. It's like they speak about it briefly, and it's like it's a prison that was set up by because the species, the Minotaur, is like from a species of like godlike creatures who go to planets and are then worshipped as gods. But then the people who then worship them, I guess, rise against them and then put them in this prison sort of thing.
Yeah, but they still want to feed them.
Yes, because it's automated. There's no guards. There's no warden. It's all automated by a computer, and because it feeds off faith, they need this scenario. I guess that's why it is, but it's just, I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know. The rest of the episode is so good. This is like, I have it when we talk about the Vampire Diaries, which, falls apart as a show sometimes. When you're having to try and work out plot points, you're trying to explain them, you're like, maybe this isn't the best. When it's difficult to convey in a succinct manner.
Yeah, I guess I would say, like, it doesn't really matter, but it kind of does, because it's the whole fucking point of the episode, really. But I don't know, it's just...
It doesn't ruin my enjoyment of the episode at all.
No. It's... I don't know how to describe it, but... I don't know. Maybe it's something that is one of those things that, like... It was in the script, it just never came to be. Didn't work, perhaps. I don't know. That's just me making shit up, really. I don't fucking know. So, as the Minotaur is dying, is talking with the Doctor. He says an ancient creature drenched in the blood of the innocent, drifting in space through an endless shifting maze. For such a creature, death would be a gift. And then the Doctor's like, yeah, I feel that. Go on then, die. Have... Not as cruel as that, but he's like, then take it, here's death for you. And then the Minotaur just says, I wasn't talking about myself. The Doctor has been read to filth.
Wig snatched.
Wig snatched from the Doctor. His wig does get snatched in a later episode. Brutal. And, like, really good line, though. Because, the parallels between the two of them, very interesting, I thought.
Well, particularly as, like, this season opened with the Doctor's death, and we're kind of heading somewhere. So it feels
very much so.
Feels good to keep us interested.
Yeah, definitely. So they drop David Williams off back home. We don't see that, thankfully.
No, he does say that's my planet there, and then asks to be dropped off at the nearest galaxy. But if his planet's there, what are you chatting, mate?
Just go there.
Just go there.
Idiot. Fucking David Williams, man. So then the TARDIS lands on a street back on Earth, in front of just a regular house and I'd say a regular car. It's not really a regular car, but like an old-fashioned kind of sports car. And then he gives Amy and Rory the house and car keys. He's like, there you are. I
love the exchange between Rory and the Doctor, where he's like, that's my favourite car. How did you know it's my favourite car? Because you held up a picture and went, that's my favourite car.
Such a great line. And the way Matt Smith says it, the way he just goes, you show me a picture. Oh, that's my favorite car. Oh, so good. So good. Yeah, so this is an odd scene. And by odd, I mean unexpected, I guess. Considering there's 2 episodes left of the season, here we are with a companion departure. Here we are with a goodbye to the ponds.
Yeah.
Seemingly, anyway. You know, it's really interesting. I don't know. So, like, Rory heads off inside, so it can be really a goodbye between the Amy and the Doctor. And yeah, he just, like, Amy asks him, is this like goodbye? And he kind of says, yes, it is. Well, no, he says, like, he will come back. He's, you know, they won't get rid of him. It's just that they can't go on like this anymore, because he specifically says at one point, what's the alternative? Me standing over your broken body, over Rory's broken body?
Yeah. In some ways, it feels like this could be an end for Amy and Rory, but, you know, we know it's not. But it feels like, and I know lots of people think this would be a better way to end their story, but this is all on, like, the Doctor's terms. Like, he's dropping them off. He's decided it's over. And, like, so much of his story with Amy in particular is, like, seeing her as a little kid and, like, taking a choice away from her. So I'm glad this isn't how they chose to end it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, I have to say it's hard to say I prefer the ending we get because, you know, trauma.
Yeah.
Look, I think what you're saying makes perfect sense. I like that it's
hard to talk about.
It is. It's hard to talk about. I'm good at podcasts. This is one of those things where it's like, it's a decision that's reversed, and I don't mean like in the writer's room or like by, you know, Stephen Moffat or anything like that, because I feel like it was always intended to go this way, but I feel like it's a decision that's reversed by the Doctor once he comes to realize some stuff. And I will say, when the decision is reversed, one of the most beautiful scenes in all of Doctor Who, one of the most fucking hell, you talk about scenes that make me cry, that one gets me every single fucking time. Okay, that's spoiler alert for future episodes though, but it's a brilliant scene. And yeah, I do like this as a kind of a goodbye for now scene though. It's really sweet, it's really heartbreaking. I love kind of like the awkward wave the Doctor gives Amy from the TARDIS, because they're both like, well, I'm not gonna cry, you're not gonna cry, you know, they're both too cool to cry in front of each other. So it's just the kind of like the awkward wave, and then later on, well, not later on, like after this, when he is in a TARDIS on his own, just the way the camera pulls back so he can see as much of the empty space of the TARDIS as possible, just really getting the sense of he is all alone in there. I think it's really well done, this ending, I think.
Yeah. I mean, it's so well done. Rory is my kind of guy. He runs off into the house and then comes back out with a bottle of fizz to enjoy. He had no idea there was a big heart-to-heart going on outside.
Yeah. Immediately grabbed the champagne. He's grabbed 3 glasses and he just comes out like, what? Which I enjoy. Oh, bless him. So there we go. And then the episode ends. And then I got jump scared by James Corden's face.
Oh, God. Yeah, David Williams to James Corden.
Yeah. Oh, which one do you want? Oh. Well, there we go. Right, okay, so that means it is time for Weirdo of the Week. Weirdo. Fuck, I've forgotten everything.
Segment of the show where we discuss everyone's favourite weird and wonderful characters in Doctor Who.
There you go, pretty much what Catherine said. Oh my God. What the fuck just happened to my brain? Thank you, Catherine. Who's your weirdo for this week?
So I picked David Williams.
Okay, of course.
He's right there. But specifically because he ate a goldfish.
What was this?
It was so weird. There was a couple of fish in the salon.
Yes.
The doctor says to Amy, take the fish. And then during quite a pivotal, tense moment, we see David Williams going in and eating the fish. And then we see him cleaning bits out of his teeth.
Wasn't it Rita's death scene?
I think so.
It was Rita's death, one of the most emotional, heartbreaking points of the episode. And then you just got David Williams in a little rat face going, what if I eat this little goldfish?
So weird.
So fucking bizarre. Yeah, that's fair. I can't argue with that at all. That is a fair choice for weirdo. I'm going with Rory. Okay. Now I've got him on my notes, and I think I just might have misunderstood the episode a little bit. Because what you're saying makes sense, but I've got on my notes that basically he's my weirdo because he doesn't have a fear. So there's nothing that he's scared of. But then what you were saying is correct. That's not how the hotel works. There's nothing that he has faith in.
Yeah, it must be about faith is why they're picked.
Yes. So I don't know. That's still pretty odd though, isn't it?
Yeah, I think this is what I say earlier. I get not having a religion or believing in something like conspiracy, but surely you still have faith in something. I'm not a religious person, but I would still say I have faith in people around me.
Yeah.
I did it, and Rory seems like he would too.
He would. Well, maybe that explains why he's always so self-conscious about his marriage.
Maybe,
yeah, he's always, maybe he doesn't have faith in Amy or his marriage, which is why he's always like, oh no, she's actually pregnant with the doctor's baby,
What about his dad or the people on his stag do?
Yeah, that grubby man rubbing his hands together when the doctor jumped out of a cake.
His lifelong best friend Mel.
Oh yeah, who could forget his lifelong best friend that we've always known about? Exactly. Yeah, doesn't have. Yeah, it is quite odd that he doesn't have any faith. Do you think he has any fears?
Yeah,
you don't often see him scared.
I think his would be. I think it could be growing alone without Amy or something. Because he keeps dying and being alone places.
Yeah, that's true. Definitely something to do with Amy. I think it would be. But yeah, there we go. All right, there we go. That is Weirdo of the Week. Now it's time for a segment which I don't know how to introduce because Lawrence does it. So I guess I'll just fucking wing it. This is Still Got Thoughts, where we let you have your say, I think. So what happens is every week I will tweet out something to say, hey, we're doing this episode and I want to know what you think. So let us know. So this week Catherine has very kindly agreed to read out some tweets here. So who has written in this week, Catherine?
So we have from Juliet Pond, who says, this is the best character writing in the show, a magnificent analysis of the team dynamic, which is driven by faith and the Doctor's God complex. The God complex is the episode that made me fall in love with Doctor Who. I love deep characters, Greek myths, and traumatic doors. TM.
Oh, okay. Pretty good. I do love all those things as well.
Mm-hmm. We kind of didn't discuss the Minotaur. I liked that it was because I grew up was a big fan in Greek mythology, and the Minotaur kind of always represents fear and repression. So I thought it was a good use of bringing that myth into it.
I do like it. Yeah, it works well. I don't know much about the Greek myth stuff, but I like a Minotaur. It's pretty cool.
Happy to see it.
Yeah.
And then from Robert Vasquez, my weirdo this week is the Doctor. The Tivoli are constantly being invaded and enslaved, and the Doctor is fine with it because it's part of their nature. Pretty selective and reminds me of his attitude towards the Ood.
Very good point, I think. Yeah, not something I thought of until I read this tweet from Robert. Yeah, I think if you're aware of a species whose whole deal was they're constantly invaded, maybe you'd think all right, maybe we should do something about that, But yeah, pretty odd.
Yeah, that's fair. It's just the way that the Ood is all about having enslaved race is wrong. And in this one, well, that's all right. They're a bit of a prick, though.
Yeah, I think that's probably it. Yeah. They're all a bit slimy, so whatever.
And then from Bird's Eye View VT. This might be a hot take, but I never liked this episode. I always skip it because I just get bored every time. I don't know if it's the pacing or the execution of such a great idea. However, I like the ancient creature line at the end. It gets me every time. Also, fuck the dolls.
Yes, agree with the ancient creature line. Very cool. I would say give it another chance. Yeah. I would say have another watch. See, depending on how long it's been since you last watched it, because for me, I definitely came at it with a new perspective this time. So have another go, I'd say.
Yeah, same. I think this is one I had dumb takes on when I first saw it. Now I like it.
There you go, which is often the case with Still Got Legs. That happens quite a lot. So there we go. Right, okay, so move on to emails. This one here is from Maylin and Martin, who says Hotel of Fear episodes. They say, what y'all know about sacrificing the local stuttering nerd conspiracy theorist just so you can get back to being dominated by, brackets, I assume, hot invaders on your planet full of submissive rats? There you go. To be honest, I have no idea how to answer that, but there we go. Thank you, Maylin and Martin. We appreciate it. This one comes in from Sam Nixon. Subject line is the God Complex, more like the Goat Complex. They say, hello, boys. Sorry, Catherine.
They didn't know that I was on this episode, given I had no idea.
It's true. If this isn't a certified banger, I give Nathan full permission to dunk my head in the toilet from Train Spotting while Lawrence spurs it on. I won't be doing that because, trust me, I will find that more gross than you. I teased in an earlier email why this episode in my eyes should have been the finale, not only for Series 6, but the Pawns story as well. That's because aside from it being one of my favourite episodes of the whole show, it is exemplar in showing what Doctor Who can do. Bullet points. The villain is imaginative, scary, and sympathetic. The setting is gorgeous and probably made Lauren sweat over its Kubrick-esque cinematic bliss. I will never know at this point, but probably. We actually get emotional character deaths and engaging commentary. All three of Matt, Karen, and Arthur play a significant part in the plot with stellar performances, especially at the end. And the Tweed is back. Oh, Catherine, what do you think of the green military coat?
You're making me be against you here. I don't like
it. No!
I'm so sorry.
I should have known.
Yeah.
An RTD stan.
I know. I hate that I feel like I side more with Lawrence because I don't want to be that.
Well, you do. I've made a note of all of them. Okay. Well, there we go. I feel a little betrayed, but there we go. It also brings a natural conclusion to Amy and Rory. Rory's story has been about stepping into himself and not being afraid to be his own man. He's now literally scared of nothing. Amy's story has been about holding on to childhood and not wanting to let go. We got partly there in the Big Bang, but now it's the Doctor's turn to realise he needs to let go, all beautifully tied off by him referring to her as Amy Williams. He leaves them in a happy place and can even pop over for Christmas dinner occasionally. You don't always need to give your companions tragic exits, especially after they've already been unnecessarily written through so much already. This could honestly work as perfect one-off adventure to bookend the season after a big River Song/Silence two-parter. Anyways, apologies for the long email. This is the level of passion you should expect for making us listen to 4-hour-long podcasts and 14 weeks of X-Men. You don't have to listen to that. It's not in any way related.
You have to listen.
You don't. Keep on legging, Sam. Interesting. What do you think about that? Disagree.
I do disagree. I think it could be. I think it could be, and I think there are a lot of people that think this would have been a good ending for the Ponds because it's not a sad ending. Although I think this episode's done really well, I don't think Amy has gotten to the point where she could just walk away from the Doctor. Mm-hmm. Yes, her faith may be broken in them, but I don't think she's ready to give up this life. So if they were going to have that be the story of the season, or have that be the end of the season. They should have written towards that a bit more.
Yeah,
and like I said earlier, I think it's too much the Doctor's choice, and so much of his relationship with Amy is about his choice. So I wouldn't have liked if at the end it was the same.
Yeah, I agree. I really like what you're saying there about it being the Doctor's choice, not Amy's, because again, you know, not to jump ahead to what's to come, but there are decisions that are made which are Amy and Rory's choice going forward. You know, they make a decision. Whether you agree with it or not, it's their decision to make, really. So, yeah, I agree. Cool. And this last email comes in from Leo Smith, who says, Weirdos of the Week. Just writing a short one whilst a bit drunk after a long week of work. I'm so excited to hear about some of the weirdos of the week when you get to the next shows. My favourite weirdos so far obviously go to the wonders like Elton and Rattigan, but there are some blokes like that woman from Amy's Choice who carries a lawnmower where you can just think, what the fuck is happening right now? I'm so excited for when you get to Torchwood and Sarah Jane, where we get some genuine, absolute weirdos who just do the strangest things that are completely unjustified. And there are some that actually rival Elton as the biggest weirdo of all time. Very much looking forward to that. I have basically no memory of most of Torchwood, and I haven't even seen all of Sarah Jane. So
I'm so hyped for you guys to get to them. It's going to be good. I will be back really for a Torchwood episode, let me tell you.
Definitely. Is there one in particular that you have in mind?
No, probably not, but there'll be some I can...
They're all weirdly horny from what I remember, but there we go. Apart from this, I'm excited for Weirdo of the Week in Heaven Sent, where it will most definitely be Slim Pickens, and I think you'll both be struggling to find a weirdo. But I just love this segment so much, so I can't stop thinking about it. A must listen for me every week. Call back, I love that. I'd love to see a weirdo showdown at some point. I know this would be a big task, but I think it's worth it to somehow track who the biggest weirdo is. Thank you very much, Leo. Thank you, Leo. I do appreciate it. We did try a weirdo showdown at one point. We actually recorded it during the end of series 5, I think it was. But spoiler alert, it just didn't work out. It just wasn't fun at all. We realized me and Lawrence were just going, and then there was this weirdo. And then I guess he's better than that. There was just nothing to it, really. It was just, whilst we was doing it, we just realised, this is fucking nothing, isn't it? And then just decided to stop, really. So it didn't really work out. But hey, maybe if we can think of a fun enough idea, it'll come back. So there we go. Sorry, there's not much for you there, Catherine. That's just more self-indulgent. Sorry about that. But there we go. Thank you for joining us, Catherine. Thank you for rescuing us at the last minute here. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I hope for your listeners it wasn't a disappointment when Lawrence's little voice didn't come through.
No, I reckon it'd be a rare treat for them. I bet they'd be thankful to have less of that idiot around. So thank you again. Missing Mystic Falls on Twitter. No, Miss Mystic
Pod on Twitter.
Miss Mystic Pod on Twitter. There'll also be links down below. You're also in the Discord server, so people can talk to you there. Although, don't harass her.
Everyone's very nice on the Discord.
Everyone is very nice on the Discord. You can come join. There's a link below if you want to have fun, friendly chats with other Doctor Who nerds about fun stuff. What else does Lawrence say? We have a Ko-Fi if you want to support us. No pressure on that. Obviously, we do appreciate anyone who chooses to support us. I think Pierce supported us this week. Thank you very much, Pierce. P.S. You're running the Discord. What are you doing, mate? You don't have to support us there, but we do appreciate it. Thank you very much. Speaking of which, yes, shout out to P.S. and also to Nina for helping us out with our TikToks and short form content. We really appreciate that. So big shout out to both of those for helping out. What else does Lauren say?
You have another podcast.
Thank you, Catherine. Yes, I do. It's called Another Happy Pod, where every week we watch and discuss an X-Men movie, for now, anyway. Last week we did X-Men 3. This coming week we're going to do X-Men Origins Wolverine, the bad one. So that's going to be It's going to be something. So join us for that. We may also have some guests joining us on that. It's Catherine's. We didn't tell her. No, it's not. Sorry. It's Brian and David from the Talking Pictures podcast may be joining us. We're trying to work out that. So yeah, some good fun stuff coming up. I think that's it. I don't know why I'm asking you.
I think so.
Yeah, I think so. I'm sure it's fine. Do you have anything else to say, Catherine, to the lovely people?
I've got nothing, man. I've got nothing.
There we go.
Sorry.
Well, no, that's fine. Thank you very much. Love you. Bye.